Reinhardt from ReZero knows way more than he is letting on, and I think there is a good chance he knows about Subaru's return by Death Factor. In today's video, I want to go over what I consider to be one of the most interesting and mysterious theories within all of ReZero, and one that I believe could determine and change the events and factors and understanding of ReZero really how we know it. And that theory revolves around Reinhardt, and not just Reinhardt, but also revolves around the moon within ReZero. So if you're into this type of content and you like theories in ReZero and Reinhardt and all that, make sure you leave a like and subscribe, and let's just go ahead and get right into the video. Also, if you want more ReZero exclusive content and to pick the next topic of my next videos, make sure you check out my membership. Anyways, let's start. So this theory and this idea is going to be built upon Reinhardt's comments mainly within Season 1 and a couple of other factors. And when I say Season 1, I mean more specifically Arc 1, as within Arc 1, it is safe to say Reinhardt makes a couple of potentially very weird and out of place comments. When we pair these comments with the author's comments, it starts making things look even more mysterious. Tape Nagatsuki has gone forth and said that he considers Reinhardt's point of view of the story a spoiler. More specifically, his point of view from within Arc 1. And on top of this, Tape has gone to state multiple times that Arc 1 and the final arc of ReZero are going to be the overall most important arcs for the story. Now, he could have meant this, obviously in a writing perspective, but I think a lot of this has to do with theory crafting and foreshadowing that is taking place within Arc 1 that many people don't realize, and that we as fans can just fully not understand up until this point, until later things are eventually revealed. As for how Reinhardt's point of view could be a spoiler within Arc 1, there is honestly so many different ways this could potentially be the case, but I'd like to go over a couple, and one that specifically sticks out to me as a very weird moment. The one that most specifically stood out the strangest at the end of Arc 1, that is going to be the comments Reinhardt made about the moon. For those of you that don't know, the moon within ReZero has huge symbolic factors. At the end of Arc 1, when all events were completed, Reinhardt made mysterious comments in not only the anime, but within the light novel, as these right here were the last words that were stated. And if you read the moment and you read the scene, the comments feel rather out of place to say the least, and it says within the web novel that only the moon heard Reinhardt's words. The web novel chapter 4 was literally "The moon is watching," and let me go into the moon in ReZero. For those of you that don't know, the moon plays an important role in the fact that Satella is often connected with the moon. And you may be asking, Satella, what the hell does that have to do with the moon? But when you look at the derivative of Satella, Satella is low-key just a shortened version of the word satellite. And this is only further emphasized as when Tape made the gender bend if around 2022, a couple years back, Satella's gender bent male name was Luna or Lunar, which, as we know, Lunar, that is obviously correlated to the moon. On top of this, Tape has gone forth and stated that the true meaning of Satella's name and what it actually is hinting at is also a major spoiler for ReZero. So for Reinhardt to make this comment at this very moment is a very interesting and out of place thing, and what it tells us is that Reinhardt knows more than he is letting on. And mind you, this is not the only instance of weird moon activities within ReZero. Within Arc 5, aka Season 3, what you may have just watched as an anime only, Reinhardt is sent to the moon by Regulus, and Reinhardt jumps off the moon, leaving a literal crater. The author Tape Nagatsuki was inevitably asked in a Q&A what did Reinhardt see when he was on the moon, to which Tape Nagatsuki answered that that would be major spoilers for the series. This one right here could be for a lot more reasons than, just, whatever he saw on the moon in the connection to Satella. It probably has a lot to do with the literal metaphysical structure of the ReZero world, because as we know, 400 years ago, the witch caused a calamity in which half of the world was destroyed, and the ReZero structure itself is a lot of mystery. So I think with what Reinhardt saw on the moon has a lot to do with rather what is going on beyond the Great Waterfall, and more specifically the edge of the world, as there are many mysteries correlated with that. But let's get back to those original comments Reinhardt made within Arc 1 of the series, being that tonight will be the last night we can gaze at the moon calmly. Reinhardt somehow knows that the series of events that just took place within Arc 1 are going to set off a spiraling event that is going to forever change the ReZero world. He somehow knows this, mind you. It's kind of like a fourth wall break. How he knows this, we genuinely have no idea. Another thing I do find a bit strange, although this may be me reaching a bit, is just his overall interaction with Subaru. His kindness and fondness to Subaru was a bit out of place, and it's not to say that Reinhardt's just not a super nice guy, because he is, but I felt like the whole demeanor and interactions between them within the very first arc of the series was a bit strange, and like they were already on familiar terms. And you have to think that whenever Reinhardt Reinhardt is by Subaru, the scent of the witch has to be all over him. Reinhardt has to recognize this. It's just, there's so many little things that make me believe, and I mean know, that Reinhardt knows something that we don't as the viewer. Another weird thing about Reinhardt is he somehow knows the true personality of Reed Estrella, in which he shouldn't because he's never met him. So he somehow gained that intangible knowledge through some sort of method. So when you take all this into account, whether that be Reinhardt's connections to the world, his divine protections, everything he's been through, all the stuff and the buffs he has against stuff like time magic and all that, it just makes me really hard to believe that this guy does not more than he's letting on, mixed with the author's comments. There's a couple of different ways that this route in theory can go, such as a theory that surrounds that this is not Reinhardt's first time going through all this. He has been through these time loops and manifestations once before. As we all know, there is a lot of people out there that theorize that ReZero is just one big repeating time loop. So one of these theories is that Reinhardt is aware of said time loop and all of this interactions and all of this stuff he knows happened before. Maybe that he wasn't there, but he knows of it. Just the overall theory is that he somehow knew that the event that was going to take place that day, he knew it was going to happen. Another thing people like to point out and theorize is the cover for Volume 1 of ReZero. You know that white thingy going on in the back? A lot of people theorize that Reinhardt actually witnessed this and saw Subaru get summoned to this world and is aware of the fact that Subaru is not from this world. If I had to put my money on it, I would bet that that wasn't Reinhardt's first time meeting Subaru, and that in some form or shape or way before he met Subaru, or maybe didn't meet him, but had some form of pre-conformed knowledge of him. All of this makes the later events of ReZero a bit more interesting in retrospect now that I look at it. I am talking about the events within Arc 9, small Arc 9 spoilers ahead, but I think a lot of people are aware of this if I'm being honest, but Reinhardt and Al face off. I won't get into the details of, what happens, but they do face off. And with so many people theorizing that Al is some sort of metaphysical representation of Subaru, whether that be a soul sharing transfer with Flugel or something along those lines, I question what Reinhardt knows about this and, his motives. Is he aware of in that aspect, in that regard? And how much is he aware of Al's ability? Because at the same time, his fight with Al and everything that goes on there kind of makes it a bit redundant to think that he knows stuff and has a point of view of stuff that we don't know yet. I mean, we know he does, but if he knows as much as viewers and us speculate that he does, that whole scene feels a bit out of place. Also, I feel like his fight with Al kind of debunks the idea that a lot of people had that he could be, immune to return by death and remember the past loops, because in a similar sense, Al's domain is like return by death. It's a bit different, but it's like it, and it's a time looping ability. Unless Reinhardt was remembering all the times he fought Al, which I don't think he did. I could be very well wrong. I just don't think that theory is the case. On top of all this, there were some interesting comments that were made about Reinhardt within Arc 6 of the series, and that Julius made the comments that ever since he met Reinhardt, he has been fully realized. Subaru kind of starts to question, at what point did Reinhardt become Reinhardt? Because this happened all the way at age 10. So it kind of feels like Reinhardt is not his own person, but rather like a representation of something. An interesting crack theory that I think of sometimes is that Reinhardt is maybe like the metaphysical representation of the vessel of the world. He is Odd Laguna's soul and vessel, like, humanized, which I don't know if that is the case. It probably isn't, but it kind of feels like, a larger body is, controlling him kind of within a sense, rather that he does not work of free will and is more so just the representation of the will of the world. So yeah, I think he just definitely knows something about Subaru's authorities. He knows something about Subaru at the very least. With a figure within the ReZero world as OP as Reinhardt, I feel like it would honestly not make as much sense if he didn't know about all of this. But like I previously mentioned, his stuff with Al kind of points at the other direction. I guess we will just have to wait and see. As for the moon factor within ReZero, I've seen a lot of people theorize that, how divine protections are from Odd Laguna, which authorities could be from the moon, which would definitely be interesting, but that's also a bit of a crack theory. I've also seen people point out that a full moon is often present within a lot of the moments within ReZero and works as foreshadowing for when things go wrong, such as the Mob Beast attack within Season 1 had a full moon, Subaru got attacked by the White Whale with a full moon. I've seen that connection also be made. I want to wrap this up a bit and try to give a definitive idea on what I think could be going on here. I think Reinhardt, through some external body, whether that be Odd Laguna, his divine protections, the Sword God, has more knowledge and an understanding of kind of what's going on within the ReZero world and stuff revolving around Subaru. And I don't think he knows everything or has been through past loops, but rather has been given the knowledge that, hey, this guy right here is special, he's interesting, and you should keep an eye on him. to say he's been through past loops, I feel like has kind of been debunked due to all the stuff that he's been through with Ao. But I think he knows that Subaru is somebody who is not of this world and is different than everybody else around him. And to tie it in with the moon and why he looks up at the moon, I think he could know about the connection of the moon with Satella. And as for what could be within the ReZero world that Reinhardt saw that was on the moon, is I think Reinhardt saw whatever is lying beyond the Great Waterfall, whatever that may be, and saw the truth of what is really going on. Because, mind you, everybody takes everything that is said about 400 years ago at face value within the ReZero world. Like, everyone is just like, oh yeah, this definitely happened, this definitely happened. But I think it's pretty clear that there are some very huge misconceptions going on with what actually happened 400 years ago. We kind of see an example of this as the game of telephone plays out very mysteriously within ReZero and often does not play out accurately, as we see Shala is confused with the actual Sage Flugel 400 plus years ago, or over the last 400 years, I should say. And everybody thought the Great Sage was still alive and with inside of the Pleiades Watchtower, but this whole entire time, it was Shala. It just is a great point and points out to show that, you know, the game of telephone and information from 400 years ago is often inaccurate within the ReZero world when you're not hearing it from somebody who was directly around 400 years ago, such as Roswaal or Beatrice or Echidna. But at that same time, look at your sources. It's Echidna and Roswaal. They're also not to be trusted. So it's kind of like, you know, you really have nobody to trust when you start going back this far. I think we don't really get a definitive answer as to what is really going on, who is really there, and everything that is going down until we get a better source of information. But as for that does it for the video today. Just a lot of theory rambling. I really love this theory. I love the Reinhardt theories. I love the moon theories. Some of my favorite within ReZero. They're extremely interesting. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure you check out my membership if you want more exclusive video ideas. And anyways, that about does it. Peace.